Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is for you, and welcome to the Ladybug Laboratory podcast. This is episode 18B, and it is being recorded on April 17th. Ideally, it will air on April 26th or 27th, a Wednesday or a Thursday. I am Lily. I will be your host for today. You can find me on Ravelry as ladybuglily, on Instagram as ladybug.lily, and there is a Ravelry group for the podcast, the Ladybug Laboratory podcast group, and that is where you will find any show notes. They're pretty detailed, as well as knit-along threads, and there's an Ask Me thread where you can suggest topics or ask questions. The show notes on Ravelry are part of a thread, and I encourage you to go and comment in there, give me suggestions. The things that I talk about are generally things that I want there to be conversations about or things that I want help with. So, yeah, I would love any comments. I am drinking blueberry black tea in my procrastinating mug. And we have a make-along going on in the group right now. It is the Made For Me make-along. And the idea is that you're making something for yourself that you want to make, that you're enjoying the process of. Submit anything in the finished objects thread or the chatter thread. There will be prizes pulled from both threads, and this is kind of your last warning because the next prize segment goes out May 1st. This is a year-long make-along, and any Ravelry-supported crafts are included. So knitting, crochet, machine knitting, weaving, and spinning. I think that's it, but there might be more. Not sure. So today we've got a bunch of different segments. We've got some works in progress, or UFOs. Excuse the earthquake. I have to flip my show notes. As well as Maker of the Month / Stash Love / slightly different. We'll talk about it. A little bit of non-yarn crafts, some books, and some prattle. So without further ado, let's get started. So for works in progress or unfinished objects, UFOs, today, I'm going to go kind of in a random order. The only order that there really is that anything that you've seen before will come first. I do have a lot of works in progress, so the rest of the episode should be a little bit shorter. I'm kind of on a cast-on-itis kick right about now. So, my first work in progress for you is my Yarnia scarf, which any returning viewers have seen before. And this is the Yarn Quest 2017 Heroes of Yarnia knit along by Tanya Richter. And it's basically role-playing. So you roll your dice and all of that. So, it is double knitting, which means it's like reversible colorwork, essentially. I'm using Shalimar Yarns Breathless, which is a 75-15-10 superwash merino, cashmere, and silk. The colorways, the green is Loden, and the white is Oyster. This feels like heaven. I'm so happy with it, and I'm really, really enjoying this process. So, I have not made a ton of progress on this. Last time that you saw it, I was right about here, so I've done maybe like an inch. So, not a whole lot. The needles are, by the way, that's for my show notes, so I'm sorry if I'm looking down. US 2.5s, which is a 3mm needle. They are Addi Turbos. The stitch markers that are in here, let's see, are magnetic from Silky Studio. And this is her small size. And this is living in one of my Studio in the Green bags. If you have been here before, you know that I've got a thing for Studio in the Green. They have yarn guides in the side, 4 on their shawl size, as well as a pocket in the middle. And this is my bicycle Studio in the Green bag. So it's got this little bicycle print with cats on the back of some of the bicycles. And the inside is this like raindroppy fabric. So that is my Yarnia. I'm trying to go a little bit quickly right now because I have so many. So next up is Sweet Grass, which, let me grab my sock blockers. So, okay. Next up is Sweet Grass, which is the Sweet Nuttons, patterned by Adrienne Fong. It was, I believe it was round 5 in Sock Madness last year. So I'm knitting this on US 1.5, which is a 2.5 millimeter. I'm using Knit Pick Stroll Tonal in the Pond colorway, as well as some cream beads. And there it is so far. Last time that you saw it, I was right here. I'm reaching the end. I think maybe I'll have one more repeat of the pattern and then I'll finish off. I'm going to turn it so that you can see the pattern that's on the front and the back. That's the one problem with sock blockers. Here you go. So it's this beautiful, almost like leafy lace pattern. I'm really happy with these. I'm looking forward to getting them done. The stitch marker that I'm using just for the beginning and end of the round is from Crafty Cat Studios. And this is living in another Studio in the Green bag. This is my Deer bag. And the smaller ones only have 2 yarn guides, but they still have the pocket. And the inside is like spotty birds flying around. So I'm happy with the progress that I'm making on that one. And next is the Snowfall in My Heart, which is, by the way, this is my sort of current shelf. Maybe I'll talk about that in a minute. But next is the Snowfall in My Heart shawl, which is using the Frau Hull pattern by Loda Groker. It's German, I think. And this is a gift from Carolyn after I made a joke about the one thing I wanted from Canada was snow. So this is Carolyn of the Next Beautiful Thing podcast, and she gifted me this pattern, which is designed after snow. So it's this beautiful lace shawl. I'm knitting this on Black Trillium Fiber Studios Silken Lace, which is an 85-15 superwash merino and silk. This is an undyed colorway, and this is on US 5s, 3.75 millimeter, with Haya sharps. This is my first time ever using Haya sharps, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. So I haven't made a ton of progress on this. That's where I was last time. So again, maybe like an inch. And this is what I mean about having sort of project ADD. I've just been like, I feel like working on this one, so I go work on it. I feel like working on that one, so I go work on it. So for stitch markers here, I have mostly Selkie Studio stitch markers. This is her small size, and this was one of her like Valentine's packs. So a couple of different shades of like pinks and reds, all together. Quite beautiful. And then on the other side, I have like a sort of teal. Let's see. There we go. Sort of teal with this sort of iridescent pink peachy bead. It's not looking great in the light, but I promise they're beautiful. So I'm actually using 2 different sets of stitch markers on this one because it has this central panel, and I really am having trouble keeping track of when I switch to the sort of central stuff and keeping track of the lace. So the central stitch marker is just one of the Miss Babs stitch markers. It's a little bit bigger. And so what I'm doing is, like, if this whole side is red, okay, the last stitch marker before the center is green, like the other side, and vice versa, as well as the last stitch marker on the end is the other side. So I'm enjoying this pattern. I am using a beetle to attach my beads, and it is living in my Bling Your String Ladybug bag, which is also a gift from Carolyn of the Next Beautiful Thing. So I've only got one more work in progress to show you. Nope. 2 more works in progress to show you that you have seen before. So the next one is my Cat and Tight socks, which are just some vanilla socks that I'm doing in the round on 9.5-inch circs. And this is my, sort of take it where you go socks. I have 1 stitch marker on here, which is also a Miss Babs stitch marker. I'm doing the Smooth Operator Sock pattern by Susan B. Anderson. So you can't really see it, but that's where my waist yarn is. This is a progress keeper from Wicked You Fiber Arts. And the waist yarn is just the same yarn from the end of the ball, so you can't really see it. But I'm almost at the point where I'm going to start the cuff. And this progress keeper from Crafty Cat Studios is where I was last time, so maybe about 2 inches. And that is living in my Lone Larch to go bag, which I just put on my arm and I knit while I'm walking. And the only other project that you have seen before is living in my Front Range Bags project bag, which I love. This is my tea time bag, and both of these are actually pockets. Like, how brilliant is that? It's got this wonderful handle, and then on the inside it's got 3 pockets on one side, and then a zipper pocket on the other. So this is my Plum Sweater Clan sweater, and I am using one of my Stash Love yarns on this, which is Swan's Island handcrafted 100% superwash merino wool in the aubergine colorway. It's a DK weight. And last time that I showed this to you, I had finished all of the pieces. And I haven't really made much progress. I'm not even sure it's really worth showing, but basically I just blocked them and started seaming. So this is the sleeve. This is another sleeve. Let's see. This is the front. So this is the Looking Back pattern by Joji Locatelli, and I plugged it into Custom Fit. I'm not going to go into all of the details of this. I think I'm going to go into some real deep details about how I combine them. Okay, so my Plum Sweater Clan. Oh, by the way, that's the name comes from a family story. Yeah, so I think when it's a finished object, I'm going to go through how I made it and all of that stuff. I don't really want to hash it out every time that it's a work in progress because it's going to get a little bit ridiculous. So that completes all of the works in progress that you have seen before. I think I'm going to take an interlude at this point and introduce you to my yarn shelf. So basically what I've got going on here is this is yarns that I already have a work in progress that I, will need the yarns eventually. These are both things that I know what I'm going to make with them, and I have them out here to remind me that I'm excited to make those. So is this one. This one is here the same as all of this stuff over here. And those are both, I'm not really sure what I'm going to make with them, but they're out here to remind me that I have them, and so that as I walk by, I can get, you know, some food for thought, right? This over here is all of my wound sock yarns or scraps or anything like that I can use for just making a shorty pair of socks. This is my zippered project bags with my beads in the back. And down here that you can't see is my drawstring project bags. I've got some drawers here for notions, and then the two on the bottom are all of my scraps for my scrap blanket. So that is how my yarn shelf works. All right, so after this, we're going to start talking about projects that you have not seen before. So let's start with my teal coma. And this is living in my Mama Made Waffles Boxes project bag for now. I'm using the pattern Proud as a Peacock Hide Band by Deborah Tomasello. I'm knitting it on US size 2s, which is a 2.75 millimeter. And so far, this is what I have. It's a headband. Let's see. There we go. So this is the Arbor Twist Sycamore Sock yarn in the Enchanted colorway. That is a 75-25 superwash merino and nylon. You can't see the colorway so much because I have a yarn bra on it, but there we go. It's like this green with some blues and purples. That's not a really great shot of the color. I'm sorry. But, so this is a headband with a pocket inside of it. So this is, here we go. Here's a better shot of the yarn. This is the pocket. Well, it's still blowing out a little bit. This is the pocket that I have made. And the way that the headband works is it's stockinette on the inside, and then on the outside is color work and beads. And the pocket goes in the middle. So right now I'm knitting the outside. So I only have one yarn going at this point. I don't have any stitch markers on this. Because it's only one yarn right now, it is in this smaller bag, but once I get past the stockinette and it becomes color work, stranded color work, and right now I can take this places I won't be able to then, it's going to move to a bigger bag where I can fit all 4 yarns in it. The inside of this bag has these beautiful leaves. So, that's all for that one. And next up, I am such a klutz, such a mess today. I'm so sorry. So next up is my tonal socks. And this is using the Tony pattern by Kaua Coffee, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. It is modeled after, oh geez, such a mess. Okay, it's modeled after Tony from West Side Story, and I am using Knit Picks Stroll Brights, which is a 75-15 superwash merino and nylon in the Hot Tamale colorway. So yeah, that's about as bright as it is. So the pattern calls for 1.5 inches of ribbing. I made it 2 inches, and it's got this like slanted checkerboard almost. I really like it. So, so it's a really nice pattern. I've been using this as kind of an on-the-go pattern because it's just knits and purls, and so it's interesting enough to keep my attention, but it's not so interesting that I can't do it while I'm talking or in a meeting or something like that. So I'm in this interesting situation where I actually have done 2 of the socks, but not 2 at the time. So I'm using US size 1.5, which is a 2.5 millimeter needle. I'm using Addi Turbos. And what I did is I knit this sock up to here. So I'm approaching the end where I'm going to start the toe. And then I wanted to take the sock like on the go because I was going to be in meetings literally all day. But these are for my husband, and I wasn't going to have his feet with me to, you know, make sure that I ended them at the right place. So I just set those on spare needles, which are like a size 00 or something. They're tiny. And I started the other one on the same needles, and so then I just kept using this as a to-go project until I got to the same point, and then I was like, okay, I really need to sit down with my husband's feet and just figure this out. So I actually have them both going, but they weren't worked 2 at a time. So I'm going to finish the one that I started second, and then take these needles and go back to the one that I started first. I guess my knitting is as sporadic as my communication at the moment. So those are my tonal socks. They are living in my Dancing Sheep sock bag. Let me just get all of this back in here, goodness. Which is a drawstring bag with these adorable clothesline socks on it. So cute. With the sage top. All right. Goodness, I'm just making a mess everywhere. I have 2 more works in progress to show you. So the first one is my Secret Garden work in progress, which is in my Secret Garden bag, and this is Little Skein in the Big Wool. And the way that this works is you get project bag, stitch markers, any buttons or notions that you need, and the pattern and the yarn all in a package. So the pattern is Secret Garden by Alana Dacos, not sure. And it's this beautiful, here we go. It's this beautiful like leafy shawl with a garter edge, and I just started it. I'm knitting this on US size 4, 3.5 millimeters Addies. There we go. It's this beautiful, rich, deep green. Earthquake. Okay. And then yarn that I'm using is Western Sky Knits Magnolia Sock, which is an 80-10-10 superwash cashmere and nylon. And the colorway is Wick. This is my little tin of stitch markers, which are also sort of, here we go, that's not gonna work. They're Secret Garden themed, so they've got sort of this dark purple, come on, there we go, as well as like a light purple, and then one of them has this leaf on it. So I'm really enjoying this. I read Secret Garden when I was a kid. I wasn't ever like super duper into it, but I just love this pattern, and I think I'm going to reread the book while I'm knitting this. All right, and then, oh God, I'm going to take a minute and figure myself out. All right, and my last work in progress for today is my scrap blanket. So this is my stained glass blanket. It is living in my Studio in the Green Kitties bag. which again has the 4 yarn guides in the pocket, and the inside is this sort of flowery color. Okay, so I have 1 square in progress, so you'll have to forgive me for that. So, since I saw you last, goodness, I finished, oh man, okay, basically, this row up all the way to this blue one, I had already done. And so I added these 4 and started this one. So this one is one of my opal minis from my advent calendar, and it was on day 4. This one is Pink Sugar, and it is from my friend Danielle, who runs the Selkie Studio Etsy shop. Selkie Studio Company. And this is Skog Cat, which is what I used on my Shower Cat Showl. And then this one is Skyscraper, which is from a knitting friend of mine. And I'm working on this one, which is from Carolyn of The Next Beautiful Thing. The needles that I'm using for this are the Cubics. There you go. And they are US 1.5, which is a 2.5 millimeter, and they're like square. So that's how the Cubics work. This is also sort of a to-go project for me, so if I don't have anything else on the needles, I'll grab this to go somewhere. Generally, I keep it at work in case I have an impromptu meeting. This isn't like super a focus for me right now, and that's because I'm participating in a year-long sort of knitting challenge. Bingo, my God. BINGOMG. And it's like a bingo board, but it's 7 by 7, and each square has like a knitting technique or a yarn weight or a color or something like that. And you are trying to knit one project for every square. So you can't use the same project twice for 2 different squares and fill it up by the end of the year. And all of the projects have to be started and completed within 2017, which is why I'm not focusing on my scrap blanket quite as much, because it was started in 2016. So that is my works in progress for today. And without further ado, we're going to move on to some other stuff. Alright, so returning viewers or viewers of the Color and Life podcast will know that Jennifer and John Michael of the Color and Life podcast are doing a Maker of the Month throughout 2017. So they're focusing on some artists within the community, yarn dyers, stitch markers, whatever, every month. And I've decided as part of my sort of Stash Love segment that I'm going to get something from each of those Makers of the Month. So the March Maker of the Month was Front Range Bags. And this is the one that I've talked about before. It has this beautiful brown and blue patterning with a blue zipper. And both of these outside pockets are pockets. I mean, duh. This is incredibly well made. I really love working with it. It's really perfect. I mean, it's got pockets for your notions. It's got all sorts of stuff. And one of the things that I love the best about it is this clip-on handle. This handle, just by itself, is a well-made handle. And I love that you can remove it, you can add it back on. I wish I could buy the handles just by themselves to add to some of my bags without handles. I absolutely love this bag. I love it. I highly recommend Front Range bags if you have never used them before. I love this bag. And that's kind of going to be my Stash Love, because I think something that's important about my Stash Love segment is that it's supporting makers. And project bags are part of your stash, part of your supplies that you use for your art. So yeah, that's my stash love for this episode. So next up is some non-yarn arts, and I'm going to show you something that makes me incredibly nervous. So, if you've ever heard of sip and paint, that's basically those things that you do where you pay like $40 and you spend 3 hours and your instructor sort of paints a picture and you go with friends and you all paint the picture, and then you can like pay extra and they have like wine there, right? And a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, has cancer, and she just started chemotherapy last week. She's gonna be okay, but it kind of sucks right now. And she wanted to do sip and paint, but she didn't know how much energy she was gonna have, and so we decided, as like a support for her, we were gonna go and make a sip and paint for her. So a friend of mine found on YouTube the Art Sherpa, who used to work as like a sip and paint instructor. And she did this in about an hour and a half. It took us about 3 or 4 hours. So we had to pause and go back and pause and go back. And we just set it up. We got all the supplies ourselves. We got some wine. It ended up being like $10 a person, 15 maybe if you count in, you know, the one-time purchases like the brushes. But it was so worth it. It was so worth it. And she picked a dragonfly painting that the Art Sherpa did. And this is why I'm covered in paint, by the way, because this was literally yesterday. I'm a little bit proud of this, but I also can see all of the faults in it. But I'll just go ahead and show it to you. So this is the painting that I made. This is with acrylic paint. I've got this moon in the corner and these dragonflies on these reeds, and they're sort of over a pond. I had a lot of difficulty with these reflections. I'm pretty happy with it. I also can see a lot of faults in it. So for instance, I tried to copy hers, but hers was so like, add some reeds here and there. And so she put like this yellow dragonfly on the very top, and I copied her. And I think we're going to do it again because Alice had a lot of fun, and yeah, it was worth it. It was a lot of fun. And so I think next time I would focus more on making it fit in my painting. And so this yellow dragonfly, I think I would have flipped around to fill this space instead of being so close to the blue one. But we've got a yellow dragonfly, a blue one, a purple one, got like a pinky purple one, and like an orangey reddy one. I'm really quite happy with this, but I'm also not. This is the first real painting that I've ever done. I did one in like junior high, right, in like art class type of thing, or as like a book review project. So I think I'm happy with it. I'm letting it sort of sit because right now I can see all the mistakes that I made. So I'm letting it sit and not really looking at it, and I'm going to come back to it in a week or two and decide what I want to do with it. I'm not going to throw it out, right? I'm going to keep it. But I don't know if I want to display it or not. But I am pretty happy with it. What do you guys think? Honest critique, if you will. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it. But there it is. That's my dragonfly painting, my non-yarny craft. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I have it. All right. And on that note, we're going to move on to books and prattle. Okay, so because there were so many works in progress, I'm only going to focus on one book today, even though I have a whole backlog of them. And this one is not one of the young adult books that I read with my students. This one is Bad Little Girl by Frances Vick, and it's a psychological thriller, and I read it in about 20 hours. Excuse me. It was very well done. Very well done. Ooh. And it's done from the perspective of a teacher who believes that one of the students in her school is being abused at home. And how she handles it, and as time goes on, what she does and what she's willing to do to save this student. And then also, as you get near the end, there's a big twist. It's gripping. It's definitely gripping. If you don't like psychological thrillers, don't read it. But it is very well written. It is a very good book. I read it on the Kindle. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. It was one of those books that I had to process for several days after I finished it. And I think it hit especially close to home because it focused on, hi kitty. Hi kitty. It was from the perspective of a teacher. But yeah, it was a very, very good book. I really enjoyed reading it. Come on up. Come on up. He's mad at me because I moved the coffee table so I could put my tea on it. And so it's against the couch and he can't jump on the couch. He could go around and jump on the other end of the couch. But he's lazy and or spatially, I don't know. He wants pets and he's mad at me because he can't jump up right where I am. Come here. No? Okay. Groom yourself instead. Whatever. See if I care. So that's my books segment for today, and at this point I'm going to move on to prattle. So that is all of the knitting talk. This is not going to be a crafty related prattle segment. Where did he go? Oh, there he is. Sorry. Cat is distracting. So if that was all you were here for, have a fantastic day, and otherwise let's move on to prattle. So for today's prattle segment, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in my life. Right now it is spring break for me, and I'm finally just done. I'm gonna go through things and clean and be prepared for school to start again, for work to start again. I'm really relishing this time. I've been looking forward to it for over a month now. And if you watched my last episode, you know that I really need it. I haven't had a free weekend day. I've had one free weekend day between January 7th and this weekend, essentially today. So I definitely need this time. I mean, I was even busy this weekend, and I'm just going to take these 5 days to just reset and take care of all of the, laundry and the dishes and the clutter that's built up that you normally take care of for 20 minutes on the weekend, and I just haven't had those 20 minutes. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm really going to relish that because after spring break is over, I've got a lot of other stuff going on. A very, very good friend of mine, in fact, the owner of Black Squirrel, my local yarn store, is getting married, and so I'm a bridesmaid, so I have to find a dress, and we have next weekend is the bachelorette party. No, 2 weekends from now is the bachelorette party, and then the weekend after that, she's hand-making a lot of the sort of decorations and the flowers and stuff for her wedding, so we're all going to get together and help her with that. And it's going to be a ton of fun, and I'm really excited and really happy for her. And I'm actually not going to be quite as booked over the next month as I have been, but, I'm still going to be pretty busy. And then she's getting married at the end of May, and after that I've got about 2 weeks left of work, maybe 3. So I'm going to be running around like a chicken with a head cut off. And then it's the summer, which came way faster than I thought it would. it feels like the school year just started. It really does. And I have mixed feelings about the school year ending because I'm so ready for it to be over. But I'm really going to miss my students. And I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day, but that's the life of a teacher, and I teach 8th grade, so they go to a different school next year, and I won't even see them in the hallways. But a lot of my students come back and visit, and I still get to keep them in my life. But yeah, so that's what's coming up for me. Right now I'm starting to think pretty seriously about what I'm even going to do over the summer. I'm thinking about doing a lot of soap making over the summer. We'll see. We'll see. But that is my prattle for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that you enjoyed what you saw. This cat is being so stubborn. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Anyway, thank you guys for stopping by. Happy stitching, happy whatever it is that you do. As always, I love you all, I miss you all, and I will see you next time. Bye!